Alrighty, guys. Good morning to you all here. A happy Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Hope you guys are doing well out there. And I really don't have the best of information for you guys today. We are seeing a pretty significant setup for a significant severe weather outbreak going into the end of this week, where all hazards will be possible, including strong tornadoes, potentially damaging winds, significant damaging winds, and extremely large hail for portions of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. If you are in risk zones that I do mention about for today, now would be the time to start getting ready. We are going to start getting severe weather tomorrow across portions of the high plains. This will transition into Thursday across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. And then on Friday, we might even have the threat for a regional severe weather outbreak across the lower Ohio Valley. And then we start to get things going in the plains as we are in officially tornado peak season starting tomorrow, Wednesday. That lasts for a couple of weeks here. So we are just going to be in a really, really active pattern. I need you guys prepped. I need you all ready to go. I need y'all, listening, taking the information of these videos very, very seriously. This isn't for shits and giggles. This is for saving lives and giving y'all information out there, so as to help get you guys ready to go for these events. So we're going to start things off today here. We've got a still, once again, this upper level trough that's just been sitting for I think about 6 days now over the Ohio Valley in the southeast. This will officially be out of here by tomorrow morning. We've got a couple more little low end days or low end risk zones here for today for severe weather. We'll get to those here in a minute. We've also got a low end threat for severe weather up into the high plains today. We'll get to that here in a second as well, but just look at this upper level trough just spinning. You can see that wraparound moisture being pulled in here down into the southeast, back up into the Ohio Valley. Storms still initiating here along the cold front that is in and around the North Carolina and Virginia line. Just a lot of storms ongoing today. Today's a very, very low end threat today. Like I said, I will have a live stream here in just a little bit as well to kind of talk about what's going to happen today, what's going to happen over the next couple of days and into this week to get y'all ready to go. But tomorrow we do start the official severe weather uptrend, as what I would like to call it here. And I am going to go ahead and start out by mentioning what we're going to be seeing for tomorrow here, or I meant for today here to start out with. We've got 3 marginal risk zones for today, back up here in the high plains, back down here into Memphis, Tennessee, back down here as well into portions of northern Mississippi and Alabama, and then Virginia, West Virginia, and North Carolina. 3 different marginal risks. This is a level 1 risk out of 5. Just be mindful that there is severe weather out there for today. The tornado risk for today is going to be accompanied to that small marginal risk back down here into Mississippi and Alabama, and then another 2% tornado risk back down here into Virginia and North Carolina. This is a 2% chance of seeing a tornado within a 25-mile radius of a given location, so it's not anything too significant, but just be mindful that there is a chance for a isolated tornado threat there. We are looking at more wind and hail than anything, though. Wind threat is at 5% in both regions, and then hail threat is in 5% for all 3 regions today. So like I said, not looking at anything too significant. Just be mindful if you're out and about today. Isolated showers and thunderstorms could produce a couple of wind and hail events. Now, we get into tomorrow's forecast, and this is where things start to get a little bit more interesting, right? We're going to have a marginal risk still off the East Coast here as that trailing cold front moves through and officially moves off the East Coast by tomorrow morning through midday. Marginal risk for wind and for hail back down for Carolinas up into Virginia and into portions of Baltimore, Maryland. And then we get up here into the high plains. This is going to be our first round of severe weather that starts this multi-day outbreak that I think that we're going to have going through tomorrow, going through Thursday, going through Friday, and then eventually Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday the next week here. We've got a level 1 marginal risk there in the dark green, level 2 slight risk in the yellow. This includes portions of South Dakota, North Dakota, and Nebraska going into western Minnesota, western Iowa. We will be in live coverage mode for this event tomorrow, so you guys will have me as always. We are looking at a 2% tornado risk tomorrow, so there's a pretty broad 2% tomorrow. Western portions of Iowa, western Minnesota, eastern and central South Dakota, eastern and central portions of Nebraska here, Norfolk, Iowa, Sioux Falls, Aberdeen is in there as well. We've got portions of Valentine, Nebraska in there as well. So just be mindful tomorrow. I do think a 5% tornado risk could be upgraded somewhere in the middle here. I think it's definitely on the table. We'll see what the Storm Prediction Center does. Wind threat at 15 and 5% tomorrow, and hail threat. So tomorrow is technically a wind-driven risk zone here. So just be mindful if you are out and about. Wind threat back down into the Carolinas tomorrow. Not looking at anything too crazy down there. Like I said, we'll be in coverage mode. This looks to be initiating around about 3 to 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk about that timing here in just a second. Now, I do want to mention, as we go into Thursday and Friday are going to be our big days, at least this week so far. We've got a huge slight risk that goes for portions of central and southern Wisconsin, pretty much all of Michigan, all of Indiana, eastern Illinois, and western Ohio, and then a marginal risk that goes outside of that into Minnesota, back down into portions of western Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia. They are getting down into Kentucky, Tennessee. Now, the further south you go with this risk zone, you have what's called a capping inversion. That's a temperature inversion aloft in the atmosphere that allows for storms to, be hard. It's harder for storms to initiate in. just because your dew points and your temps are so separated. And so we will have to watch for a couple of strong to severe storms back down here. All modes will be possible for any storms that can fire off. But I want to mention, guys, the ceiling is very, very high for Thursday and for Friday. I do think a enhanced risk will be issued here very soon with this outlook here for Thursday. I also even think a moderate risk is on the table. I don't think this is high risk caliber as of right now, but I do think a moderate driven wind or tornado risk could be on the table as we get closer to this event. So if you live in Michigan, if you live in Wisconsin, if you live in Indiana, you live in Ohio, you need to be weather aware on Thursday. This could be a significant regional severe weather outbreak if things go the way the models are trending with this. We're starting to get some of those short range models, and now we'll have more of that later on for you guys in tomorrow's video and into this afternoon's live stream. But just, I need you guys to be weather aware on Thursday. I'm concerned. Y'all should be concerned. I don't typically get too concerned about risk zones like this, typically a little far out, but when we have signals that show us the threat for outbreaks, that's something that's concerned. And I know we've had some busted outbreaks the last couple of weeks, especially up here in the Midwest, but this is a little bit different of a setup than what we've had over the last couple of weeks. So just, you need to be mindful. You need to be weather aware if you're in if you're in that marginal risk or that slight risk here. I do, like I said, think a level 3 enhanced risk will be introduced either today or tomorrow at some point, and then maybe even a moderate risk is on the table. In all modes, this is going to be a high supercell impact day. We'll have supercells initiate through the first half of the day, which could produce strong tornadoes, large hail, the very large hail, damaging winds, and then we'll have more than likely a line of storms that impinges with that cold front trailing east. There's just a lot of things to still work out with Thursday and Friday's setup. I'm letting you guys know in advance, Thursday and Friday will be our big days, and I do think both days could include an outbreak potentially if things go the way the models are trending with that. Now, we get into the day 4 outlook here. The Storm Prediction Center did expand that level 2 slight risk for the day 4 outlook here. You can see we now have that going into central Kentucky, now back down into most of Tennessee. So if you're in this level 2 risk out of 5 on Friday, this also has big, big potential here. We are going to have a volatile atmosphere again, both on Thursday and on Friday. Instability pushing almost 4,500 cape. We'll have extreme tornado parameters out there for any storms that are semi or discrete, allowing for strong tornado potential, large hail potential, and damaging wind potential. I do think a moderate risk is also on the table for this day as well going into Friday. So 2 big days both on Thursday and Friday. Right now, the Storm Prediction Center highlighting western and central Tennessee, Bowling Green, Kentucky, Nashville, Jackson, Memphis, eastern and northeast Arkansas, eastern Missouri, western and central Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Illinois. I do think that this risk zone will expand in the next couple of days as well, getting a little bit bigger in size, expanding east, expanding north, maybe even expanding a little bit west as we get closer. So as we do get closer, guys, when we get closer to that 48-hour to 60-hour window here, we'll see more confidence increase with this event. Now, I will mention there is not a day 5, day 6, day 7. I do think there will be risk zones accompanied to the mid-Atlantic here and into the Ohio Valley going into Saturday and Sunday. We'll have to watch for some damaging winds and some hail. Not too much of a tornado risk going into Saturday, but enough for damaging winds and hail. And then as we go into the day 7, day 8, the Storm Prediction Center has already talked about mentioning the threat for severe weather in the plains. We're going to have the potential for maybe even a outbreak again on Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas as we go towards Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week. So a very, very long stretch of significant severe weather, guys. I cannot tell y'all enough to get prepared now. Be weather aware. This is not fear mongering. This is me telling you guys verbatim from meteorological terminology and from the background that I have that there is more than likely going to be a significant severe weather event as we go through the next couple of days here and even into next week. So just get ready to go. Have no weather radios charged, have batteries, have, a couple days of food stocked up in case you get hit with a storm. Just all the necessity things that you need for severe weather. We are in that peak season where anything can happen given the environmental space that we're going to have. So I do make that known to everybody. Some people will see storms, some people may not see storms. It's all dependent on how the atmosphere evolves on the days leading up to and on the day of once we get there. So here's an idea of what we could see going into Wednesday's setup here. I don't quite yet have Thursday and Friday in range yet on the HER. We'll show the NAMS parameters here in just a minute on those days, but we do have a low pressure system that's going to move through here, and you can see showers and storms, even a couple embedded supercells, some damaging winds and some large hail up into Nebraska, up into Iowa. They're just something we're going to have to watch through about 3 p.m. to about midnight tomorrow and even into the overnight hours. We could have a couple strong storms moving through western portions of Iowa and western portions of Minnesota. Here's a little bit further to the north here, up here into the Dakotas, we can see as well what's going to be happening here as well. That low moving in, strong supercells firing off on a dry line here anytime after 4 p.m. tomorrow, and then we'll have that more than likely grow uptrend or upscale grow into a line of storms before moving out into the morning hours into Minnesota, and then we get into Thursday setup, and that becomes a little bit more complex. Like I said, we'll talk about that as we go through tomorrow and into later on this afternoon. Now, I do want to show you guys Thursday and Friday. This is going to be the available instability in the atmosphere, the amount of energy we're going to have for storms to fire off and going into Thursday here. And you'll see that warm front lift. And this is Thursday afternoon, guys, at peak heating. We have a volatile atmospheric setup on Thursday. If any storms can become semi-discrete or even just, at least line embedded, we could have strong tornadoes. We could have large hail, extreme damaging winds in this. I don't even think a derecho is off the table going into Thursday's event here. We're going to have a pretty sharp dry line. Now, we'll get into all the mesoscale details and all of that as we get closer to this event, especially starting tomorrow. But the environment is going to be very, very favorable in this area here for strong storms, potentially even intense thunderstorms. And then we go up here looking at the Midwest for Wisconsin, for Iowa, for Minnesota going into Thursday as well. And once again, very primed environment, a little bit less instability, but just enough instability to get things going here. We're going to see, like I said, a widespread threat going through the afternoon hours there and the evening hours as this progresses through the Ohio Valley, Michigan. I mean, we could be looking at 4,300 plus Cape guys from Michigan to northern Indiana, western Ohio here. I mean, it's off the charts the amount of instability we're going to have going into next week. So, or not next week, but going into Thursday and into Friday. Here's the tornado parameters that's set up for Thursday as well. As you guys can see, that higher tornado corridor is going to be for Indiana, Illinois, and western Ohio. This has been a model trend for a couple of days now here. I expect strong tornado potential for any storms that can become semi or discrete going into the afternoon and evening hours of Thursday in and around Indiana, Ohio, and Illinois here. So once again, another area, a little bit more of a conditional risk for stronger storms, but I think as low-level jet increases, we will have a couple chances at a couple strong storms, some tornadoes, maybe some damaging winds, and some large hail, but I do think that that risk zone is trending a little bit more favorable in terms of Illinois and Indiana, just kind of given off of what I'm seeing now. Now, as we go into Friday, things change a little bit here. We're going to see that warm front kind of stall out over top of the Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, Kentucky line, and you're going to see the instability values, guys. Or not instability values. These are the tornado parameters going into Friday. I mean, look at this. We start things off overnight, Friday night, going into Friday morning here. Parameter spaces just increase substantially. If this is what we're going to have going into Friday, I expect a volatile atmospheric setup once again on Friday. The parameters are just off the charts once again, both on Thursday and on Friday, and the instability that we're going to have in place as well going into Thursday afternoon and into Friday here, just it's all over the place, guys. I mean, the air mass recovery response that's going to be with these storms both days, and you can even see the holes in the models here where storms are initiating in. I mean, we've got 6,000 Cape, 5,000 to 6,000 Cape potentially on the NAM here, showing even though the NAM's a little bit more progressive in terms of, or aggressive in terms of the model runs here, still showing just a widespread volatile atmospheric setup. It's not very often we get something that sets up like this over a 2-day period over the same areas. So if you were in the Ohio Valley, if you're in the Midwest, you need to be ready to go on Thursday and on Friday. Going to be 2 extremely long days to get through here, at least as of what the models are indicating now. Things can downtrend, things can uptrend. We'll keep you guys updated on the latest on that as we get closer to this event happening. I will mention kind of what's happening and why we're seeing what we're happening with the models here. We can see still at a cutoff low here. This is still moving. It's going to take some time to get this thing out of here. This should be out of here by tomorrow morning, and then we start to see our troughing set up for Wednesday and Thursday. This is why we do have a severe weather setup here on Wednesday. You can see a little bit of bulk shear out of the south to the north here, allowing for a damaging wind, a conditional tornado threat, and a hail threat for Wednesday. This is our main piece of energy right here that's going to be moving into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley both on Thursday and on Friday, and this will be just enough to allow for a strong negatively tilted trough that's going to move through here on Thursday afternoon here. We'll have strong upper level winds out of the southwest here, have more bulk shear moving through the plains here into the Ohio Valley both on Thursday and on Friday, and then we just get what's called zonal flow that sets up on Saturday and on Sunday, and this is going to allow for a damaging wind threat to develop anywhere in the Ohio Valley in the northeast where there is instability and a boundary left in place. So that's what we'll have to watch on Saturday and Sunday, and then we have to start to pay attention to the plains. I mentioned that on Sunday and on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. The plains, we start to see these little tiny impulses of troughing here that are going to develop here, these little short trough wave ejections. These can cause severe weather potentially going into Sunday, but then watch this, guys. As we go into Monday and Tuesday, I mean, this is... I'm biting my tongue a little bit. This would be a significant severe weather outbreak, if not a tornado outbreak, potentially going into next week. I know it's a little too far out to pull the plug on that yet, but I'm trying to get you guys prepped. I'm trying to get you guys ready to go now that potential is on the table with the trends that we're seeing going into next week. I think next week could, if this week does not do what it's forecasted to potentially do, or at least things don't amount to what could happen, next week could kind of potentially blow that out the water. So we're just going to have to watch. We're going to monitor the situation. We're going to keep you guys updated. This would trend into the Ohio Valley and the Midwest going into next Tuesday and Wednesday, and after that, things just get a little bit more uncertain here on the European model run. I will mention this is just going to be an idea of what we could see precip-wise going through the next couple of days. Showers and storms across the southeast or the Ohio Valley. That system does clear out by tomorrow afternoon, and then we see that low pressure system setting up here for Wednesday, and then going into Thursday, here we go. Widespread convection moving across the Minnesota, Wisconsin area there up into Illinois. You don't see a lot of convection on the European run here in terms of the Ohio Valley, and there is going to be a capping inversion. So if storms can fire off on Thursday and on Friday in that capped environment, there will be a couple of strong storms, all hazards that could develop. Like I said, very conditional on Thursday especially, but if storms can initiate in that risk zone on Thursday, we will have a huge dangerous day in terms of severe weather here. Like I said, capping inversion going to be a big factor if storms can overcome that or not. And then going into Friday, we see more convection across that Kentucky, lower Ohio, Tennessee Valley line, and then into Saturday, storms moving through the Ohio Valley again, and then on Sunday, potentially into the Northeast there, and then we get into Sunday and Monday and Tuesday of next week, and it's all eyes head towards the central and southern plains as we could see a swath of another multi-day outbreak going into next week. So we've got a lot, guys, to get through over the next couple of days. Just bear with me in terms of getting these videos out to you guys here. We'll have live streams over the next couple of days as well. If you're in these discussions that I mentioned, it's not for shits and giggles, guys. Take it seriously. Get ready to go here. If you are in risk zones, or it looks like you might be in risk zones going into the future, we'll keep you guys updated. Stay safe, be aware, and we'll see you guys in the next one.